this is my review of My Hero Academia. Okay, so this episode is simultaneously one of the coolest and also one of the saddest episodes in the series, to my knowledge of what I've seen. So, this episode kind of reveals a lot about how All Might conducts himself and why he conducts himself the way he does. And most of that is through Nana Shimura's teachings, which are constantly brought up by All For One during the fight. And yeah, it's interesting to see just that how much of a candle All Might holds for Nana Shimura, his mentor. And it's clear that he holds Nana as highly as Deku does him. So it's clear that he isn't too upset with the fact that All For One is constantly mocking her legacy. Something he almost at one point almost punches All For One in the face for bringing her up. But Gran Torino stops him, pointing out that that's exactly what happened last time they got into a fight, and it was exactly that caused All Might's weakened state in the first place. At which point, All For One decides he needs to push All Might further to completely ruin his reputation as a symbol of peace. Because the thing about All For One is that he's not just trying to kill All Might, he's trying to kill his public image and then kill him shortly after. And for a moment he succeeds. So after pointing out just how much All Might took from him, he decides to return the favor and points one of his attacks at one of the citizens that are trapped in the rubble. And All Might goes to defend the citizen and deflates publicly on live television. And Deku panics because he and the others have since integrated themselves back into the crowd at this point, and are now watching the fight unfold on the giant jumbotron in the town square. And Deku panics because he realizes the dangerous implications of his secret now out in the open, and now being public knowledge. But despite being pushed to his limit, All Might continues to fight, pointing out that even if his weakness is exposed, he's still the symbol of peace, and he'll still keep fighting till the end. But then All For One drops the bombshell. So I've already stated that there was a connection between Nana Shimura and Tomura Shigaraki, and All For One basically confirms that theory. Revealing at that exact moment that Shigaraki is actually Shimura's grandson, and this causes All Might to completely lose all fight in him. He becomes visibly shocked. He loses his will to fight, all in an instant, and everybody collectively sees this and are dangerously concerned for the state of their symbol of peace. And then they do the whole trope of the hero of all the public citizens just cheering on the hero, but it actually is a little bit. They actually do a spin on it in this case. So they're not cheering All Might on because they want him to win. They're cheering him on because they're scared of what will happen if he falls, and they're more or less doing it for their own safety rather than anything else. At which point the other heroes who were in the raid group show up to try and protect to try and help the citizens get out. And in the process, Endeavor also shows up because as it's been stated, I don't remember if I stated it, but he has been there at this point. He shows up and upon seeing All Might in his weakened state, finally realizes that All Might's just a man. He quickly realizes that everything he did, all the terrible things he did to try and catch up to All Might, they didn't need to happen. And he realizes that, and then starts cheering on All Might as well to try and take him out. And then all the heroes keep All For One distracted while they retrieve the citizens and get them out before trying to help All Might fight off All For One. At which point All For One finally has enough and decides to go all out, buffing up his right arm with all of his quirks that he's accumulated into one massive combination, in a last-ditch effort to finally kill All Might once and for all. pointing out that he created that combination specifically to kill All Might. And also in this moment, reveals that he realized during their fight that All Might no longer has One for All in his system, and has in fact passed it on to Deku, and also points out that he knows who Deku is. So realizing that All Might wasn't really much of a teacher, decides to go to him on that as well, and All Might actually defends himself against All For One, who is now battering him with his now buffed up arm. That he realizes he wasn't the best teacher and is determined to win this fight simply so he could make Deku into a better hero. And then takes a page, and then actually winds up taking a page out of Deku's book, actually using it, deflating one of his arms, repositioning it into his other arm, and throwing a weaker punch to catch All For One off guard before pumping up his already broken arm and finishing off All For One with one of the best names for any ultimate move ever, United States of Smash. and then that's the end of the fight. So, at which point All Might puffs himself up with strength he doesn't have, and that's the end of the fight proper. And then we see the aftermath. Everybody is cleaning up, and All For One has been hauled off and is being hauled off to go to prison, with All Might personally overlooking his arrest. And at which point he finally turns slightly to the camera, points at the camera, and says, "Now it's your turn." And the only one who ever actually picks up on the true meaning is Deku, and Bakugo, who is looking over at Deku and realizes just what kind of connection he has with All Might, and realizes that Deku was probably the only one who actually got the message, as everybody else thinks it's a message to villains that the symbol piece still lives, but that's not even remotely what it is. It's literally a message to Deku saying, "I'm retired, your turn now." That's literally what the message was, and Deku's the only one who picked up on the true meaning of it. But yeah, it puts the show in an interesting spot, as now the series is without its symbol of peace, and now that the central antagonist of the series is behind bars, that means that both Deku and Shigaraki have to take up the mantle of their respective masters to become the next symbol of peace and symbol of evil, respectively. And this fight does kind of end in a stalemate. Yes, All Might defeated All For One once and for all, but that was a sentence that came out of my mouth. Yeah, but in the process, he completely destroyed any chances he had of protecting the people, and is no longer able to function as their symbol of peace. So it was kind of a bittersweet victory. All Might won, but now he has to retire because he's no longer able to fulfill his role as a hero. And yeah, it's kind of a bittersweet moment to end on. Yeah, it's just now All Might is no longer able to fulfill his duty as a symbol of peace, so now Deku has to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing that dynamic going forward, because what are they supposed to do now that there's no longer a symbol of peace in the picture? I mean, yeah, Endeavor can take up the mantle, but he kind of sucks. It's been established at this point that Endeavor probably isn't the best person to inspire hope into people. I mean, he's done some pretty messed up stuff up to this point, so he really shouldn't be in charge of making people happy and smiling all the time. He really shouldn't be in charge of people's happiness. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, this episode ended on a bittersweet note. It was an amazing end to a 3-part fight, and it was definitely one of the best fights in the series, because it just shows how much of a clash of ideals the fights in this series are, and this fight is no exception. And because the main criticism about the fights is that in this series is that they're a little bit boring, but that's the point. They're boring so that the ideals behind them shine through, and this fight is no exception, and is one of the strongest examples of this. So yeah, if you guys have seen this episode of My Hero Academia, what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion on the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, if you want to help support the show, then be sure to check out my Patreon. It's only a couple bucks a month, and it helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that you can show off to your friends, so I would definitely recommend it if you did that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!